April 2015, Tim and I couldn't resist going back to that weedy, intimate water that we'd visited the previous September. We arrived in early April for a 7-night session. We couldn't believe just how different the lake looked at this time of year. All that weed had completely died back, leaving a rather barren looking lake. We're on day one. It's about, 1 o'clock? We arrived here at about 5. We boated over to the lake from the river. There's 2 Dutch fellas on the point right up that way. There's no one else here. We did a circuit of the lake. We basically spent the next 4 hours contemplating where to fish. We've decided to fish the shallowest bay on the lake, which is anywhere from sort of 3 foot to, well, probably 2 foot to 6 foot. The weed is horrendous. There's this awful blanket weed that's just covering the bottom. But we're kind of fishing. We're fishing where there's less blanket weed. There's still a bit of silkweed on the bottom, but it's going to have to do for tonight. We're going to give it 24 hours, see what happens. So we've got 4 rods there, basically fanned round at about probably 80, 100 yards range on reasonably clear spots. We'll give it a go. We'll give it 24 hours. We've got 2 rods further up to the right through the trees there. We've got so much stuff with us. We've got the boat here. We tried to cut it right down, but if I just pan around there, there's my old mucker Tim, and then behind there we've got
beaver tree.
Oh my god, yeah. That tree looks like it's been gnawed down to a very thin trunk. But anyway, that's just all this stuff here. I haven't seen a carp jump yet. We've seen a few roach and rudd, but we'll see how things go. We've got 8 nights, so tonight will be the first night. So there's plenty of time, and hopefully one of these rods will produce a bite. By mid-afternoon I decided on another lap of the lake. I found a small group of large carp right up in the corner, sitting in amongst the snags. Just off the snags there was a small sand patch, no more than a few yards from the bank in about 2 or 3 foot of water. I pegged it back to the swim, grabbed a stalking rod, and I was back up in the corner. The afternoon soon turned into evening, and just when I thought the chance was slipping away.
Right, here we are then, John.
Right, first fish. Stalked out the margin, been up here a couple of hours. Tiny little hook.
Short fat fish, John.
Yeah. 2 handfuls of hemp and about 5 tigers. Forgot the baiting needle, so I lassoed a single tiger. There we are. Right, if I just lift him up, he's not 40, he's probably about 30, 38, 39. There we are.
Nice fish, nice colours.
How does that look?
Pucker.
It's probably about 37, 38 pound, but off the mark. Well, yeah, and we've only arrived today, so there are a lot of carp right in this corner.
We've just unfortunately lost the nearest swim to a French angler.
Is it a French angler? So it's different from the 2 that we saw?
Yeah, it's not the Dutch guys on the point. He arrived. Let's have a quick look at the other side. And then we'll weigh him.
I've just had the pleasure, of watching. This was one of the smaller carp feeding on the hemp. Ever so subtly. They weren't troughing. They were coming in, having a mouthful, coming about 5 minutes later. There we are. Right. Let's weigh you up.
Well done,
hook
mate.
and hold tactics that was. Flipping egg.
Good on that man.
Excellent. So that fish just came from here. There's a small sand patch. I'm in about 2.5 foot of water, and they're just circling round in that anti-clockwise movement. Huge common. I've seen photos of it before. It's over 50 pounds. I think it's about 55. And that was kind of, it wasn't eating so much, and there were 2 others. That was one of them that were dropping down more than the common, just having the odd tiger nut and the odd bit of hemp. And basically the rod just flew off into the water when that one took. So yeah, off the mark, great stuff. Right, Tuesday morning. This hasn't got the time on it. Tuesday morning about 8 o'clock. Just had a sausage sandwich. Cleared everything away now. That's the remnants of Tim's stir fry last night. Cold, clear night it was. It's looking lovely now, but the carp are up in the top left hand corner, right up that way. At 3 o'clock in the morning, Tim's middle rod rattled off. We thought it was a carp, but it was a small cat. So just for the purposes of running you through the video blog for the week, I convinced him that we should sack it up just for a couple of hours, just so we can get a little bit of footage of it. He was a very upset boy when the old tail slapped the surface. I managed to scrape my hand up in its mouth trying to unhook it in the boat.
Belly looks full, doesn't it?
Yeah, well they're often, oh that's better. What's that, mid-double?
Yeah, something like that.
Right. They're pregnant at this time of year, the old cat, so could well be checkers.
Alright, I'll stick him back.
Right. Right, stalking time. Gonna just tidy everything up a little bit, wind the rods in, and then we're gonna go stalking.
That's been on there for about 8 hours.
Unbelievable. So it's basically been on them pretty much most of the night. When you're using a 6-7 ounce lead,
They can't move it, especially it's in the weed.
well, it actually ejected the lead. It had ejected the lead, but
Sat in the weed.
well, that was one rod that was never going to go. Right, it's about 10 AM on Tuesday morning. I've come back up into the corner where I had the 39 yesterday. I've seen a carp on the spot already. I hope I didn't spook it with one handful of hemp, 5 tigers, and I've just lowered my bait in over the top. Right, well that was disappointing. There were 2 carp in there. There was a common of about 18-19 kilos, and there was a smaller mirror, and I did see another small common first light, well, about a couple of hours ago. Hasn't happened. They've drifted away. Didn't spook, they've just drifted out of the area. I've searched the whole bay, can't see them anywhere, so I've put a couple more handfuls of tigers and hemp on the spot, and I'm going to have a walk around the lake, see how Tim's getting on. He's moved over to the margins. It's definitely the right call. How are you getting on? They've moved out of there. Sorry? Mate, they've moved out of there. All the fish have gone. There were only 3 in there, I think. It goes to show they're not in the bay at all. So I'll put some hemp in. I'll go back later, but
Can't see it, but it's hard, just on a drop, just in between some bushes, in front of some weed. This one is just under this bush. I found that clear, it was quite a nice clear hard one to get grip. Put one on the end and a few handfuls.
Oh, you've got one up there, have you?
I've got one down there. One on some bait out in a clear muddy area.
Right.
So I've got three. I haven't seen anything. Just sort of chancing.
You can cover quite a bit of water here, can't you? Yeah, nice.
There's probably at least another 2 or 3 spots.
I know, further down that way.
You've got those 2 points, but they're a little bit. The furthest point is too close to that fella. There's a point just beyond here that you could actually fish from. You can fish it for the night, and then you can just do this during the day.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to keep walking down to see if I can find any. Have a beer first.
I've got a couple of Stellas in the bucket.
It's Tuesday evening. Done more walking today than one could possibly imagine. The only carp that I've found are the same ones that were here yesterday, so I've moved right up into the corner. The main lake's down to my left, and we're right in the corner up here. And basically opposite, you probably can't see it through the small sallow buds, but there's a swim just over there that I'm going to go round with a single rod where I had the one from yesterday. They're not feeding on the gravel today. They're keeping well in the snags. They obviously got a scare from the one I caught yesterday, but they're still all up here. They're just not feeding. Didn't take one tiger nut today all day, but I think they might start feeding tonight, so I'm going to fish with one rod over there, and then if I do get one, I'm going to come back. There's just crap everywhere here. Let's just move back a bit. I'm going to come back over to this side and then just fish 2 rods across to the snags. They'll all be set up ready to go, and then I'll drop the bait and drop them at night with minimum disturbance. But I'm going to stay round there on the other side. Don't think it's going to rain tonight, so I'm not going to bother. I'll set the profile up, put all my stuff underneath it this side, go round there. I'm so tired I'm going to fall asleep immediately. Hopefully get one on the clay spot, on the gravel spot, and then come round here and get some kip. The biggest worry is getting the bed shed down there without spooking them, because there are carp there. They've been in the snags all day. They're just starting to move out and onto the clear spot that I've been baiting. Trouble is, I've been baiting with hemp and a few tigers, and the roach are going wild for the hemp, which brings the perch in. And the perch, twice, they attacked my tiger and got hooked as I was lowering it onto the spot. I'm hoping that one hasn't attacked it this time, but I'm using a big 6-ounce lead for the basis that I want it to hook itself and break free, and hopefully bring the fish a little bit up in the water and out of the sunken roots. But we'll see. Right, let's get the bed shed down there. Bed chair's there, the rod's there. Fingers crossed for a take. If I can get a take before sort of 10 PM, wishful thinking, I can then go round and get comfortable for the night. You can see the roach topping just over the bait there, over the hemp. God, it's going to be absolute mayhem if I get a take. Okay. That's going down to the lake. Six o'clock Wednesday morning. I've just lost one. Can't believe it. The fish ripped. I've got the drag set pretty tight, but since it's only about 5 foot of line out, I have to give it some line. Can't believe it. I've only got one rod here. It ripped round to the right there. Under this tree, It was still on a tight line, it was round one branch, but it was just so powerful, and something had to give. The £39 dynon didn't give, the hook gave. It didn't open out, it's just come off. Absolutely gutted. Been around here all night, haven't had much sleep. I just can't believe it. Let's hope Tim's had something. So this is Tim's spot. Do you want to just move back a little bit? I'll just show the rods. So where have you got this left hand one, mate?
Left hand one's just round the corner of the bush there.
Right.
It's not on a particularly clear area, to be honest. I can just feel it. I can feel the bottom, but it is coming up with a small amount of blanket weed. I think it's presentable, but I don't think it's a spot that's been.
Pretty much the entire lake is covered in blanket weed. The bottom. There
Apart
must
from the spots that are about a metre.
Yeah, yeah.
Right on the edge. All out here, it's clear, hard, or hard mud.
What sort of distance?
Not far, 60, 70 yards, just out here, just to the left of the church spire. Loads of fizzing, put bait on it. Bream hooked itself up within about an hour.
Which is exactly what happened night before last for my open water rod.
And then I went to replace the rod this morning. Loads of fizzing, and just as I'm lowering it in, a bream's just gone over the, just rolled about a metre from it. So I just don't think those open water spots are the one.
No.
I've got another one out here.
Just see one top over there, which was definitely a bream.
Anything in that open water, unless, I don't know, loads of 24 millers, but I don't think the carp are really visiting those areas at the
No,
moment.
the carp, just for information, what about these two rods here?
Right hand one is down the margin, off where the bush and the weed is. Again, not particularly shallow spot, and in presentable but on weed. Could do with finding a better spot there.
And what about this one, just out into open water?
Just out in the middle of the channel there. Again, decent firm drop, probably about 2 metres. Just
basically covering as much water as you can for this swim. Just for information, I'm fishing right up in that corner. Lost one last night, can't believe it. Basically had the most uncomfortable night with one rod. Ripped off this morning. I knew it was going to go at some point, it just had to. It's a size 4 Carp snag hook. I was actually rather impressed that it hadn't opened out, such was the pressure. It just ripped out. Which is snag fishing for you. That's why I don't particularly like it. But if the carp are in there, the lake's probably 150 acres, and there must be very few carp per acre around the rest of the lake.
That's the only place
there are two Dutch fellas on.
No, they've gone.
Oh, they've gone. Did 3 nights, not a bite. All of their spots, maybe the odd boilie and tiger nut have been taken by bream, but no carp have fed on the spots. They're fishing right round to the left, you can't see that.
Their Dutch mate's just done a week for 113 kilo.
Yeah, was it a week he was on here? Yeah. So yeah, you hear stories about these lakes. I mean, we heard about this last year. The guys have 14 takes, 11 fish in just under a week.
But we're thinking about half the lake's population, probably.
Yeah, they probably caught a lot of the carp in here. Definitely the big common that they caught, I've seen in the snags next to me, and there's a big mirror in there that's similar sort of size, which is potentially the 2 biggest fish in the lake.
And the Dutch guy who showed us the photos of his fish was one of the same fish you had at the end of last year. That long mirror with the couple of scales up on the flank.
Yeah, that's right.
Same fish.
So,
and they said there wasn't actually, there's not loads of carp in here by any stretch.
So there's a few repeats going on, and it's hard work with just 139 to show for ourselves at the moment. But it's early in the week. I mean,
2 nights in.
2 nights in. We have to think about. Well, I don't know what your thoughts are on moving. Not at the moment.
I don't know.
It's one of those when there's 2 of you, right, and then one of them gets onto the fish. You're in a little bit of bother between you because there's not even enough room up there for 2 people. So
there's barely enough room for one.
there's
You're
barely
only
enough
fishing
room
with
for one,
rod.
and hand on heart, there must be most of the fish up there.
Well,
So
what are we thinking? There's probably not 50 fish in here, is there? There's probably 40 fish, 30, 40 fish.
well, it's difficult to tell. There's 10 or so up with me, and no one on the lake's seen another fish. So,
And as far as we're aware, there's only been 2 fish caught out of here, as far as we know. One which you've had, and one which the fella did the week for last week.
yeah, so 13 kilo fish came out last week. I had the 18.
Trouble is, thinking about with the weekend coming up, if we do night fish on Friday and Saturday night, we have got quite high likelihood of being seen by the guard where we are, haven't we?
Yeah, as usual, that kind of idea goes out the window after a while. When you're not when you're not catching, you've got to find the fish. We're certainly not going to be over in that shallow bay directly opposite, just below that cornfield. We're certainly not going to be sitting in there in open water catching catfish and bream.
Just in case we just not get caught.
Exactly. So anyway, typically I've bought the wrong gas canisters for my stove. I've got some screw-ins in the car, but I'm not going to be boating back across the river, so I'm going to have a big fry up, which will see myself through, and then I'm going to go back. I'm going to get all rods set up with size 2 solar 101s.
Single tiger.
Well, the 101s, big snowman presentations. I thought about balancing a tiger and a bit of cork on a big hook, because I still think it will go in fine. But
Fish tactic.
I'm running out of tiger nuts, so it's going to be boilies from now on. I'm going to put big snowman presentations on size 2 hooks, 6-ounce leads, and just fish locked up.
Give them the butt.
Just fish locked up over to the snags. 2, possibly 3 rods, big feed, couple of beers, and then I'm going to go to sleep, because I've had 0 sleep last 2 nights. My bait is just to the right of the terrapin. I don't know if you can see the terrapin there. There he is. Okay, my bait is just to the right of him. He's just sunning himself, getting a bit of early spring sunshine to warm his body up. So my bait is about 3 meters to the right of that snag.
Bonjour.
J'arrive au bon moment, je vois ça.
Huh?
J'arrive au bon moment.
No sooner had we finished talking than John's right hand rod has ripped off, and he's had to give this one a bit of stick.
Do you want to grab the old?
But he's done well. We were just saying we weren't expecting a take during the day. I think he's got himself in prime place. How big is it, John?
Maybe 35. It's difficult to tell in the water.
So the term small common isn't quite.
I think it's 40. Flipping out, boilies everywhere. Just.
You catch your fish this night?
De carp. 17 kilos et possible 16 kilos.
Juste en face?
Ouais.
Où c'est propre?
Ouais, difficile. Beaucoup d'herbes.
Ouais, bah, là-bas, il n'y en a pas. Là, ou en face, juste en face, là, sur le côté.
Ouais.
Vous pêchez, je veux dire.
Anyway. French angler just telling me that the snags is a good spot.
Has proved to be. Right, let's get this out and get
probably gonna
sorted.
need a bit of a hand here.
Right, here we are.
We are.
Touch over 36 pounds, John.
Yeah, mega, lovely common, lean fish, big fins.
Didn't give it a chance to fight.
fishing locked up. There we are.
Nice fish. Any other marks in its mouth at all?
No.
Yeah,
Lovely fish that was.
In
Fishing
the spring sunshine.
39-pound braid, size 1 hook, single 20mm pop up.
30-pound leg core.
8 ounce lead breakaway.
Let's have a look at the other side then, mate.
Do you see the front?
Nice big chops on him. Fish has got a nice set as well.
There we are.
Yeah, cracker, mate. Nice one.
Lovely. Right. Let's get the rod back out and get the boilie sorted. Flipping knocked the old
Bucket
over as I jumped in.
Probably not a good idea having them in there in all fairness. Right, get it back.
Right, okay.
Top. Go and tell your mates to go out of the snags.
Right, there we are. This is the rig I'm using. We've got 8 ounce lead just on a standard safety clip. I've got about 6 inches, 7 inches of very strong coated braid, and then the business end I've got there 20mm live system pop up, John McAllister style, rigged up there on a ring with a size 2 101 hook. Let's get it out there. Hoping that this rod, the central rod there, on the right hand side as you look, that's the one on the money, so there's a good chance that that's going to rip off at some point. It's all locked up, so basically I'm going to pick the rod up, and at just under, probably at about a 35-degree angle, I'm going to walk up this bank. Once it's 10 metres back from the snags, maybe 15, I then have to run forward, dive into the boat and go out over the top of it. There's major tree trunks in the near margin. It's impossible to land them from this spot, but it's the only spot to get across to the snags where they're currently living. Anyway, let's see what happens. Right, light's fading fast. I'm certainly not going to be sacking this till the morning. Haven't weighed it yet. Absolutely rock solid hook hold. Rock solid. How's that? Came on the far margin rod. They're in the snags. Cracker, absolute cracker. Wonderful. Okay, here's the other side. We're just on dark. That is beautiful common carp. Yes mate, third of the trip already. About 9:30 on the Thursday morning. I've agreed with Tim that we'll go. There are very few carp in other parts of the lake apart from up in these snags. There's only one rod that's produced any bite. So I've reluctantly agreed that we'll move on to another lake. Can't be fishing here all week and having like a fish a day, knowing all well that my mate's going to be blanking for the week, which is quite likely. It's not a commercial fishery, it's very wild out in the wilderness. He could easily blank a week on here, which isn't what we're out here for. So we've learnt a lot about this lake. I've seen the stock. I've basically spent 2 days observing them in the snags. Really interesting. Seen some lovely carp, but they're just sitting in the snags. I've given him until 11 AM, so I've got about another hour and a half in the hope that the hotspot rod will produce a bite. We saw a rod knock while we were mulling over the situation about half an hour ago. So something is on the bait, whether it's bream or whether it's a carp, don't know at the moment. So anyway, we're going to pack up and we're going to move north to a couple of lakes. We're going to have a look at a couple that Trevor told us about. He's had a 67 out of there and he said he's seen some very big fish in the lake. So we're going to go and have a look at that one. Oh! God, flipping heck. Hasn't moved the lead. The swing has dropped back to exactly the same position, but it was a very sharp pull. It wasn't like a liner. Ah! I can only have my fingers crossed that it was a bream. Can you believe that? That dog has just jumped in over the snags. Probably just kissed goodbye to any chance of a last minute bite. Okay, looking back up the lake, looking at the corner. Looking at the corner where I've had them from. I was fishing from over there across to over there. Now just going in. There's Tim. Tim's just checking a few spots on his way back. See if the bait's eaten. We're going to kindly ask this French gentleman here, who has been here a few days, hasn't had anything, if we can boat into his spot and cross the river back to the car. Be getting the motor all clogged up. Half an hour later, here we go again. Au revoir monsieur, bonne pêche.
Merci.
Okay, au revoir. Alright, let's do it. Right, it's Thursday evening. We've basically spent the day attempting to find a new lake. It does look like we've actually found our spot, but we haven't. We basically had to unload the van because we got it stuck. Tim got it stuck. Potentially a night lost, but as you could say, you can only laugh. Far more serious things could have gone wrong. At least we managed to get it out without the case of phoning the local farmer and getting his tractor down there. On the way back, we're going to have to boat back and just take the van back empty, because there's no chance that's going to be possible in the rain unless I drive.
Fucking hell, look at the scratches on this mast. About 100 acre lake, there's got about 30 carp.
Yeah, 100 acre lake's got 30 carp in. Basically where Tim's walking down to now, the far margin looks the best bet.
Well, we basically set our bivvies up next to the rods with the biggest snags.
Yeah.
And the rest of them we don't.
At the end of the day, people could go in over there. We've got to think that
they can't get baits down here.
No. Pucker, 5 nights in front of us. Pretty much going to lose tonight, but at least we can find some proper spots tomorrow, and it still gives us 4 nights. Come on! Don't know if you can see him in the distance there. He's just putting a few baits in. Tackle strewn everywhere. It is what it is. There's Tim just coming in, having placed his open water rod, and I'm just about to do mine. It's about 8 AM on Friday morning. We've come to a complex of lakes. It costs 75 euros for the year to fish on these, on top of your standard carte de pêche. It's a little bit commercial compared with what we're used to, but word on the street is that it holds some real big fish, although not that many. We're on all the lakes are numbered, so we're on one of the numbers that's got apparently the biggest carp but the fewest carp. How big's the lake? What do you reckon?
It's got to be,
60 acres?
yeah, I was going to say 60, 70 acres, yeah.
Maybe 60, 70 acres. And apparently it's only got 20, 25 fish in it. So it's going to be hard work. We've basically come on to what you call the point. You can cover a hell of a lot of water from it. But even then, I'm absolutely convinced the entire stock will be in the least accessible spot, which is the snags over on the far side, which is too far to boat across to from here. We could have a social and basically just spend 5 nights here for the remaining 4 nights here, but to be honest, I think we'll blank if we do that. I think we're going to have to go over to those snags and see if we can winkle one out that way. So it's probably going to be harder work. We're going to have a good sort of the van out. Tim's actually just trying to take off some of the scratch marks. We got it stuck yesterday and we took it through horrendous bushes and scratched up the side of it. It's a hire van, so we'd rather not have to pay any extra excess to get it sorted out. So we're going to get everything sorted out and probably boat over to the main set of snags and see if we can find some swims, because we can't see many from here. We can't see if there are any swims that access them, so it might be a case of actually having to create some swims. Don't know, but let's see if we can find the fish first. The water's gin clear, it's 3 to 4 metres deep, shelving off from the margins. All our rods are on the margins at the moment, apart from 2 in open water that crack down on the bottom, but see if we can find them fish for them. So, options are this snaggy bay, which the bank's basically quite a long way back from the snags, which gives them quite a lot of cover, but it's quite small. The guy from the maker of cock baits over there, funny name for a bait company, we saw them at Zwalla in January. God, was it that long ago? January? February it was.
Was it March? February?
It was February. Over in that corner there, fishing to the main set of snags there, which has to be the one really. That's the car over there in the distance, on the point that we've just set up on. And round to this side. Yeah, this bush is in the way a little bit.
We could put 2 out to the open water spot.
That's right, that's right. The marker, can you see the marker?
It's pretty central.
Marker's out there somewhere. So this gives you the option of open water and the bay. So it'll probably be a combination of rods all the way round, I expect. Soft. Covered in silkweed, standing. Soft again. Soft and in silkweed, no good.
We're about miles off the spot, mate.
Smoking. So it's about 7 yards back from the marker. So that's my 2 rods there. There's the bivvy. You come this way. You've got my 2 rods out into open water there. And this is where we are. Tim spot. There's more gnats in this swim than there are in mine. He's a very tidy angler, isn't he? Very tidy, very organised.
It's not doing me any good. Quite happy with all the spots.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the one. I've put Tim in this swim so he can catch something. This is definitely the one. I might just put that down there. Just see Tim's braid on the surface there. Floats up, but that's because there's all this pollen, what do you call it, seeds. What white seeds. Springtime, all this comes off the trees. No matter what braid you've got, in shallow water it's going to come up. Definitely fancy your chances, mate. That looks pucker.
Yeah, well, that's why I couldn't resist having it into another. One right in the back there. Oh, you can see it. It's really floating up, isn't it? The trouble is it's going over this bit of weed here, so...
I wouldn't worry too much about that. Is there actually any snags there it can get in? It doesn't actually look...
No, I don't think there's any snags there. There's the biggest. I mean, obviously, these 2 left-hand rods,
underneath.
in the margins, there's lots of snags, but that one where the yellow bush is, there's a tree coming out here and a tree coming out here, and I've put it in between the 2, just back from the edge of it.
Really? So that's probably the riskiest rod.
And then just sprayed bait into the back of it, but I'm probably, let's say the end of the tree is where my boat is, and I'm popping it about here, sort of in between the 2 rods.
So you've got a good rod length away.
Rod length away.
The temperature's dropping. Flipping heck.
It could easily kite right and cause me problems if I don't. I really need to just grab the rod and run back.
Just along that margin is the main set of snags. That's where they live, without a shadow of a doubt. That's where they live, and just there is Dutch boy. Oh, well, it's Saturday morning. Finally the rain's arrived and the lower pressure's come in, which can only be a good thing for the fishing. Nothing for me, not a touch, but I'm a lot more confident than I was. Flipping at that motorway just kept me awake all night. Sounds like bite alarms when the lorries go past. So Tim, what happened over here during the night?
Left-hand rod, one in the middle of the tree line. I mean, liners that had me out of the bag twice within about 5 minutes of each other.
Your left-hand rod, which is going over to the yellow bush, is it?
Just to the left of the yellow bush. But had me out the bag twice. I switched the phone on. After the second time it happened, it was 2:15. Sitting there waiting for it to go. I stayed up for about half an hour, just standing over the rod, thinking it was going to go.
So you've
I
got.
don't know if the bait's a bit too critically balanced. Or, I don't know. I don't want to overthink it.
You're
Maybe
overthinking that. That's for
no,
sure.
but if it's really troughing on the bottom and then there's fins flapping about, you know, it's that balanced. It could be doing all that off the bottom, couldn't it? So I don't know. I might try a tiny little, either a slightly smaller snow pop-up from the Snowman. I'm just going to change something slightly.
Right.
I might have even put a tiger nut over the spot instead.
Yeah, we can only mix things up a little bit.
So,
I think with this weather coming in,
got to be a better bet for a bite.
yeah, it's got to be a better bet for a bite. It's also got to be a better bet for leaving my rods out for another night without doing anything. Okay, so that's the snag where my bait is. I just saw some birds diving. Hopefully they were grebes. Tim's just replacing his bait that he got a couple of liners on in the night. Wound in, everything was fine, so I think the general view is some of the bait's still out there. Right, day 16 for leader of cock baits, and he's into a carp. So we're just going to record this fight. I think he's into a carp anyway. Yeah, it looks pretty small. Bream. Oh dear. Never mind. It's only a bream. Out in the middle, loads of bait out there. Prime bream territory. Yeah. Right. Mr. Colliver's off the mark. How big was it?
Just shy of 34, common.
Just shy of 34, so 33 and a half.
In between.
Well done, mate. Excellent result.
Very lucky.
Just show us the rig at the end of the day.
Okay, this had two tigers on it either side. Balanced bit.
Let me just come in on that.
Balanced bit of cork in between, but very, very lucky. The hook, I mean, it's a heavy gauge.
So it's a heavy gauge Gamakatsu.
Gamakatsu.
4 or 2?
Yeah, 4, I think.
Yeah, size 4.
I think the reason it's done it, it's not taken it in its mouth fully. It's caught on the lip, and I think it's because it's pulled out and pulled back into the bone.
Yeah.
Then it's bent it.
So it torn out the corner of the mouth in the looser flesh.
Yeah, and then it pulled back into the harder stuff just around the side of the lip.
So an inch behind the mouth, you've obviously got the hard kind of gill plates,
and then that is what has bent it.
And that's what's bent it.
But very lucky.
Couple of tigers.
With a little bit of cork balanced in between.
Yeah.
Literally, you've got the green weed in the far corner, just in that far corner, probably a rod length off the bushes. 2 bushes,
a tiny
and in between. And again, I don't know if there's some sort of inflow in there, but it looks a little bit cloudy. Obviously the fish has been feeding in there. It does look cloudy. Look, it's a big one, isn't it? Can you see? Just here.
Where?
There's 2 here.
Hopefully that'll come out on the camera.
Should I pull them out? it's on there.
Yeah, got it. God, doesn't look like it's been caught, does it? Really?
This is like a sort of a wild big lake fish, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite a small mouth, that.
Yeah, it has.
Perfect. Beautiful carp, mate. Absolutely beautiful. That looks like something out of Redmire.
Could be a UK, looks like a bit of a UK fish, doesn't it?
Yeah, nice one, well done.
It's the only mark in its mouth, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks pristine carp. It's big, isn't it?
That's big. Which rod's gone?
They're both still there.
Well, we'll soon see where he goes out in the boat.
They're all on the rest still. Anyway. Can you
Maybe
rate
there's
that?
more fish in here than we think.
Yeah, maybe he was telling us a few porcupines.
Oh,
Him about not catching anything in
you got
15
something
days.
in your... Yeah, John's out in the boat. Just trying to find a couple more margin spots. Fish certainly seems to be in the snags. Just trying to give himself another option, I think.
I'm not eating anything there. Can't reach them.
He's trying, he's fucking this bait there, mate, he's trying. He can't reach it, can he?
He got something in his mouth that time.
You can see it, look at his legs go, trying to get to it. He can't reach it.
I don't think I've put it that close.
I think he did.
It's difficult to tell how close it is.
See how far off the swan is? Compare it to the footage we took.
Entirely happy with the how much. Basically, if I get a run in the corner where the rod is at the moment, I've got nowhere to walk back to because of the overhanging bushes that I've already cut there. So basically, I've got about 2 foot. If I put the rod out at right angle, it's not ideal at all for snag fishing. So I'm just cutting back an extra couple of feet just to give me that extra couple of feet of purchase as I bring the rod back round and in the water over that way. So there's the finished product. So we've basically now got an extra 3 foot of purchase on the right hand rod fish down into the corner. That basically allows me to pick the rod up, bring it back to that position. Considering I'm well over a rod length off anyway, plus that, assuming that it doesn't take any line, must give me pretty much the best chance of catching it. We can only hope. This is Tim's snide rod number 5. Just fished over the top of this weed bed quite close in. Just in the hope that any carp that are coming round the point from this side, round the point, can be intercepted on the way through. Over here, no action to report.
Need some rain.
We need some rain. Yeah, we've got sunshine and blue skies.
It's almost a coincidence that 3 bites occurred on the first bit of rain since we've been out here yesterday. First time the conditions have been decent.
This sort of time of day.
I don't know why I keep getting liners on this left-hand rod everywhere. Proper lines.
Well, we've got the delkins up so high, it could well be the sensitivity. That'd probably be a single bleed for me. Right, it's Sunday afternoon, around 4ish. Well, the sun's been out all day. I was hoping for it to be cloudy and rainy today, but the sun's been out all day. So just taking the opportunity to go along the margin where I put a load of bait in yesterday, just trickled a few in here and there. All the bait was still there, which is a bit disappointing. So I haven't bothered. I was going to put a third rod up in the corner where I put the bait, but it's not worth it unless the bait's being eaten. It's just not worth it. So I've found a reasonably firm spot in and around where I've seen a carp roll twice. It rolled about 30 yards apart at very different times of the day, but it's the only carp that I've seen. So it was worth putting a bait on it. I tried casting to it last night, didn't get a bite. So it's the 5th rod, so it's the snide rod, and I've just found a firm spot in and around the area where I saw it jump last night and this morning. Probably about 30-40 baits around it. Hedged the bets. I've redone the 2 rods out on the spot. No problem from the crayfish, nothing like that. So those 2 have been redone with again 20 baits around each rod. I'm fairly certain that all the bait's still out there from a couple of 2-3 nights ago. And I'm going to leave the two margin rods in situ. So everything that's out there 24 hours is being left. Everything out there that's been out there 48 hours is being redone. Work on that principle. I don't want to be boating over every day. If there are carp in and around the area that are starting to familiarise themselves with the bait, last thing I want to be doing is taking a boat back over the top. Well, it's Sunday night. Finally the rain's come. Clouds thickening slightly in the sky. It's certainly by no means dark cloud. But you should be able to see from there that it's just starting to rain, which is a bit of a relief. It needs it. It's been hot for days and days and days now, just with a little bit of rain yesterday when we had that action. We need a proper thunderstorm, and it should bring the carp on the feed. And I've said that about 5 times this week, but it really should. I don't really rate our chances tonight, but if the rain continues, I think we've got a good chance tomorrow. Hard work, but all is not lost. No action to report?
Apart from a donkey lunking out about at least twice.
Really?
Oh, absolute donkey.
Whereabouts?
Just off this weed here.
Just close in? Well, it's more than I've seen.
Best carp in the lake.
How big did it go?
16, just over 16.
16, what'd you have it on?
Little tiger, and I made up a mix of broken triple X and live system, mixed it all in the boilies and made a bit of a mush. Probably a kilo of boilies with probably half of amount as tigers. And
maybe the tigers are producing the smaller carp. That's why I'm going to get my 60-pounder on boilies.
same spot as yesterday, another male.
Nice one, well done, mate.
Right, pop him back.
Right, well it's the final night. These two rods have been in situ 48 hours. This rod I've put out this afternoon, directly opposite where I put a load of bait in yesterday. I saw the swan moseying around, dipping down to take the odd bit of weed and stuff, and all of a sudden it veered up and it looked like it'd seen something. It backed out of the area, so I quickly wound one of the other rods in, took it over and put it over the bait. I couldn't, because of the weather, I couldn't see whether or not the bait had been taken, but it's worth a try. Goodness me, we really are scratching around for a bite at the moment. Tim's done well, he's had 2 takes, 2 fish last few hours. We've got to pack up at 7 in the morning. I've got to do a wine run for the missus, and we've got to get on a 3 o'clock ferry, so it's a very early pack up. Hopefully the weather's due to be sunny, so hopefully we can at least pack up in the dry. But to be honest, we've had 8 days out here. It hasn't gone well at all. 3 carp for me, 2 for Tim. Best 46 pound. We've only had 6 or 7 bites between us, which is less than 1 in every 24 hours. We have fished much harder lakes with much lower stocks, so that's something to do with it. But even so, it's still very disappointing. Food for thought for the autumn time. Okay, we're in a spot bother here. Well and truly buried this tyre. It's just the 2 on this side that are causing the grief. We're going to have to somehow get some help on this one. Looks like we're going to miss our ferry, but that's life, isn't it? Well, this is what we came for.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we didn't catch it, but we've got the pleasure of witnessing it.
Ja. Das ist der große, Bernd.
Was?
Das ist der große.
Das ist der große?
Ja.
Dann ist er abgemagert.
Ja. That's is the biggest fish in the lake.
That's the biggest fish, is it?
He lost a bit weight. Yeah.
Okay.
Ja, warte.
That looks gigantic, huh?
Well done.